Hi everybody. I haven't made a tarot video, a really in-depth one, for quite a while, but I have a lot of older decks and I just don't think people would really be interested in seeing walkthroughs of something that's been around for 30 or 40 years. But this deck is fairly new. It's not brand new, it's been out a couple of years, but it's fairly new and it's really unique. So I wanted to devote a video to giving you my thoughts about it. I know I'm a little bit late to the party. I think this deck came out about 3 years or so ago. But I just recently broke down and ordered it after much internal debate, like would I use it, would I not use it? And I finally, after seeing images on the internet, I just couldn't resist any longer. It was really calling to me. So I'm still kind of searching for what would be considered a perfect tarot deck for me. And my quest for the perfect deck will probably never end. I haven't found a deck yet where I thought the structure and the art were perfect for me. I'm not a fan of RWS imagery, but I don't want just pips either. And most decks I have found tend to follow very closely the very specific card meanings that have been handed down from Rider-Waite-Smith. But this deck allows your intuition to reign in most cases, but it still tends to follow Rider-Waite-Smith a little closely. So that's kind of what caused me to wait so long. But now that I've received it in, I'm really sorry that I waited, and I'm really glad that I bought it. So let's take a good look first at the packaging. It's a nice, fairly large box. And the deck is produced by Llewellyn. The box has a magnetic clasp, and this is a fine box for storing your deck. Open up the packaging and you see this image here, which is the same as the image on the card backs. Alrighty, so we'll take a look at the book. What appears at first glance to be, it's not a little white book, it appears to be a big book. However, it's a pretty easy read. I've read about halfway through this book in an hour or so. There's a lot of white space in here, and the print is fairly large, but each card in the deck has a grayscale copy in the book, and there are a few paragraphs about each card. There's also information on spreads. Nothing too much, just a couple of pages. 3-card reading, 10-card reading. And there's a little bit about this deck in particular and how to do a reading. So it's in-depth enough. I would have liked to have had a little more information on why the imagery for this particular deck was chosen. The cards themselves, let's move along to the cards. You've got a little ribbon here that enables you to pop the cards out, and the box is nice so that you would be able to store the cards in the box and keep them on your shelf. So let's move the box out of the way here. Over there with the book. So the cards themselves, they are nice, fairly matte, kind of semi-gloss. I wouldn't call them satiny, but they're more matte. And they're thin enough that they shuffle easily, but they're thick enough to resist damage from use. The backs are not what would be considered reversible. There's symbols of all the elements, and also a lemniscate, which symbolizes infinity. Here we've got the pentacle, wand, sword, cup, and the lemniscate. So the backs are not reversible. If that's important to you, you might want to keep that in mind. So on first impression, the cards seem dark, both in color and tone, but many of them seem to have a glow from within that does kind of tend to brighten them up. The little colors inside that you can see. There's a little brightness there. The images are simple and they don't have a lot of symbolism. I actually do prefer a simpler image because for me it allows my intuition to take over rather than being distracted by inspecting intricately detailed artwork. And in a way, this deck reminds me of Lenormand because of the simplicity and clarity of the images. So if you are just starting to read tarot, you might have a little difficulty, for instance, because the court cards don't have humans depicted. They have maybe animals or maybe symbols. So that might make it a little bit tricky if you're used to reading Rider-Waite, or if you need to have that referencing from Rider-Waite to think of a person, as far as, especially for the court cards, I think. But the symbology is so simple, it's meant to evoke more of an emotion than a story or a particular keyword. But if you're familiar with Rider-Waite-Smith, or you use the system of numerology combined with elements to interpret the cards, you'll probably do just fine with this deck. So let's kind of go through them and I'll give you my thoughts. Now this card, the Fool, one of the few cards that actually has a human figure, and I don't know why they decided to put a human figure for this card, but I rather like this Fool. Very simple, free, a naive feeling. Really nice. That joy of youth, that kind of a sense. So there's the Fool. Here we have the Magician. And you can see the symbols of the elements tattooed onto this hand. And what I like about this card, when you speak about magic, you're talking manifestation. Mani refers to a hand. So when you manifest something, you're using your hand to direct magic. So this is really cool how they use the hand in this deck. And one of the suits is actually represented by hands. So here's the Magician. The High Priestess. Now you see here there is no woman depicted here, but you have the idea behind the card, internal reflection. There's the mirror, and the mirror is not actually looking at your physical self. It's looking more at your essence, or what's really your soul. So I really like this High Priestess. Love it. Here we have the Empress. Again, there's no figure of a person in this card, but you get the idea of abundance, fertility. You've got a forest scene, and it's sort of abstract. Very pretty. And I like this Emperor. You get the feeling of structure and stability, and the crown sort of is an authoritative symbol. So you've got the crown and the sword, and you're going to see this crown in several of the other cards. It's a recurring symbol in this deck. So there's the Emperor. Here is the Hierophant. Kind of interesting. At first I thought this might be a reference to the Hermit, although there is a lamp in the Hermit card. But the Hierophant represents your journey towards conformity and toward living your life the right way. That sort of a thought. It's an internal struggle, but you're struggling towards the light all the time. So there's the Hierophant. Here we have the Lovers. A couple of I don't know if you call them deer or elk, but they're locked in an embrace there. Nice Lovers card. Here we have the Chariot. We've got the, looks like dragons, but actually they're two different colored dragons or beasts of some sort, and they're going to be drawing their power together to guide the chariot in the right direction. So there is the Chariot. Here we have Strength. Pretty self-explanatory. We have the hand again of the Magician with the symbols of the elements tattooed in, and the fist to represent strength. Now here is the Hermit. So we have the lamp theme again, but this time we've got kind of a foresty image, which makes you think about being isolated, being by yourself, being in retreat. So there's the hermit. Here is Wheel of Fortune, which is really, really great. It's the wheel of the year. And you see the leaves there, the oak leaves. We have winter, spring, summer, and fall. To remind you that things are constantly changing and the wheel is turning. Next we have Justice. Really good Justice card here, even though, look at the items on the right side, the goblet, which I believe represents water, and then the jewelry, which represents pentacles, and then on the left we have a feather for air, and we have a branch for a wand. So we're sort of balancing out with an elemental theme here. Even though the objects on the right apparently would weigh more, obviously, than a feather and a little branch, but yet the feather and branch are outweighing the other side. So take that for what it's worth. Here we have the Hanged Man. There's a raven. Death or transformation. There we have the crown again. Very simple, but gets the point across. Here's Temperance. So something has mixed, something has dropped into the water. You get the feeling of merging and the alchemical feel of the card. Temperance. Again, there are no people in these images, so it's interesting how they've done this. Here's the Devil, and we don't actually have an actual devil. We don't have any supplicants or, anything like that, but we have a mask. That kind of reminds us that we ourselves are our own worst enemy when we put on a mask and don't honor our authentic selves. The Devil. The Tower. There's a nice fiery image. So the destruction of the old, renewal, a very common theme in tarot. Next we have the Star. Really beautiful. Looks like we're looking at the Milky Way, and then it's reflected in the water. Really gorgeous. Here we have the Moon. The raven has sort of got the moon in its mouth. Be careful what you grab out for. It might be illusory. Here's the Sun. Now I really like this sun in the hands, reminding us that the power is within each and every one of us to manifest our own destiny. The Sun. Here we have Judgment. There's the crown again. There's a book, kind of like the myth about there being a book of judgment where people's names are written in there. So it's kind of an interesting judgment card. You don't get so much the sense of an awakening or a transformation of your life, but it's really, really pretty. And then we have the last of the major arcana, the World. This is really cool. One thing I kind of noticed, the figure of the road with the arms reaching out to the sides, to me it kind of looks like a figure of a woman. But I suppose that's just me. But there's the World. So as you end one journey, you're beginning another, and you're going to have different ways to go. The World. So let's go now to the Suit of Cups, and I'm going to go through these rather quickly. So the cups have the element of water represented in most all of them, and they also, a lot of them have ravens. So here's the Ace of Cups with the raven. Two of Cups, two ravens. Partnership. Three of Cups, And it's getting pretty dark out here. I think I'm going to have to turn on some supplemental lighting. So hold on just 1 second while I do that. So here we have the Three of Cups. And you see three ravens rather than three maidens rejoicing together. Here's the Four of Cups. Very interesting. We've got two ravens and their shadows, or their reflections, I should say. Four of Cups. Five of Cups. And here's the Six of Cups. So it kind of does give you that feeling, the traditional feeling of the Six of Cups. It's not so closely allied to Rider-Waite that you can't use your intuition for divining what the meaning of this card is. So we've got the six bubbles up there. Of course, they're associated with water. The Six of Cups, sort of a nostalgic feeling, and he's watching those bubbles kind of rise. Sort of a dreamy quality to that card. Here we have the Seven of Cups, very traditional Rider-Waite. The ravens are kind of collecting goodies, and they've got the crown there, feathers, they've got the lamp. So Seven of Cups, that feeling of picking and choosing. Eight of Cups, we've got just the feathers there, so that sort of gives you the impression that the bird has gone away and the feathers remain. Nine of Cups, just beautiful. I absolutely love this card. There's the crows, and they've created a great happy place up in the heavens where they can fly free. Nine of Cups. Your dream come true. Okay, I had to move the party indoors because it was just getting too dark out there, and as you might have noticed, this is a fairly dark deck, so you won't be able to see much detail outside in the dark. So here we have again the Nine of Cups. Just beautiful. Love that card. And here we have the Ten of Cups, a family of ravens. Wonderful. Moving on then to the court cards. Page of Cups, represented by eggs. The Knight of Cups. Then we have the Queen of Cups. The moon symbolizing the feminine energy. And the feather symbolizing the raven. See, I might have had an issue with some of this deck symbology. I would have liked to have had the ravens and the feathers associated with air. But in this deck, they're associated with the cups. King of Cups is a cup with a feather. Or a goblet, I guess you would say. The King's Goblet. Next we have the suit of coins. And there are no coins, although this suit of coins or pentacles often references money. It also references your vocation, the earth, nature, family, that kind of idea. Things of the earth. So here is the Ace of Coins, a seedling. And I love that it's got that kind of energy symbol at the top for the sun. Here we have the Two of Coins, two buds. Here is the Three of Coins, three buds, and three kind of energetic symbols above them. Four of Coins. Boy, I'm getting a glare. Four of Coins is just stems without roses attached. Four of Coins, kind of a foundational card. Foundation of your finances or your job or your household. Four of Coins. Here we have the Five of Coins. And so we see the petals dropping from the rose in this card. Five of Coins. You'll have to forgive my messy kitchen table. Here we have Six of Coins, an offering. Just such an imaginative deck. I really love it. Seven of Coins. So the feeling of nurturing your project, tending something to fruition. We've got the roses, the clambering roses tied up on a trellis. Seven of Coins. Here we have Eight of Coins. So the gardener has used his tools to produce his beautiful fruits of his garden. Eight of Coins. Nine of Coins, represented by a beautiful multicolored rose, representing fruition of your project. And then we have Ten of Coins, great abundance in your life's work. Alrighty, now we're going to move along to, ooh, these cards are really slippery. They're very slick. Here we have the Page of Coins. So just a new sprout coming up out of a cup. Next we have the Knight of Coins, a trowel representing the action to manifest what you want to do. Not so much a student in this deck, but more of a doer. Here we have the Queen of Coins. So the mother of home and hearth, abundance, family. The King of Coins. Now we're moving on to the Suit of Swords, which is represented by hands with various gestures. So here is the Ace of Swords. Kind of similar to the Magician, but being used here to represent the Suit of Swords for intellect, thought, communication. Here is the Two of Swords. At first when I saw this card, I thought it was representing hand fasting, but I quickly recognized that the hands were they were not opposing with the backs of the hands together. They were the same person's two hands tied together in front of him. So Two of Swords. Opposition of thought. Three of Swords. So instead of piercing a heart, the swords are piercing the hands. Almost a crucifixion metaphor there. Then we have Four of Swords, rest and retreat. Very simple, but it gets the message across. Here we have the Five of Swords, five feathers, and things are kind of slipping away from you. Five of Swords. Six of Swords. I can't really tell exactly what's being held in these palms of the hands here. There are water droplets falling off the hands, so I'm assuming it's like grabbing some water. So instead of sailing off, you're sort of got the water cupped in your hands. They're very interesting, these cards in this deck. Seven of Swords. Check this out. This is really funny. They've got the fingers crossed, like when you cross your fingers behind your back, say one thing and do another. Seven of Swords. Here is Eight of Swords. So you're bound by your own actions or deeds or thoughts. Nine of Swords. Is it an illusion? What's happening? You don't know. Why you're worried because you're not sure exactly what's going on. You don't know what's truth and what's fiction. And what's on the other side might be a little bit scary. Nine of Swords. And then we have Ten of Swords. So you're pretty much done. No more flesh, you're just bones. Ten of Swords. Then we have the Page of Swords. I really like this because to me that quill looks like it's getting ready to write, and swords are about communication. So I really like this Page of Swords. Here is the Knight of Swords. This knight has effected some sort of action in regards to words or ideas, and it's sharp and it's cutting. Knight of Swords. Here is the Queen of Swords. She sort of tempers the suit that can be representative of your anxiety and your mind playing tricks on you. But the Queen of Swords is all about honesty, brutal honesty. Honesty, truth, and light. Queen of Swords. And then we have the King of Swords. Very simple, but very effective. And then we're moving on to the suit of wands. Here we have the Ace of Wands. Just the beginning of a fire. Two of Wands. Really beautiful. We've got the fire and then the raven and the two wings. Really gorgeous. And we have Three of Wands. There are three ravens there. Each one has a different wand to perch on. Three of Wands. Here we have the Four of Wands. Very simple. We've got 4 candles lit. Celebration. Completion. Very nice. Five of Wands. Can you see the face in this card? I see a face. It looks like an anguished face. There are 2 eyes and a mouth. So we've got Five of Wands. There's a lot of turmoil in whatever project you're involved in. Six of Wands. Here we've got a wreath of laurels to symbolize victory. So very Rider-Waite, the meaning for this card. Six of Wands. Seven of Wands. So the hand is protecting the fire from being extinguished. Very imaginative take on the Seven of Wands. Standing your ground, protecting something. Seven of Wands. Then we have the Eight of Wands. So we've got the swiftness, swift action, and the project you're in the process of completing. Here we have the Nine of Wands. So there's a lot of determination. You're not going to let that project or that initiative that you're involved with slip away from your fingers. You're going to hang in there and get it done. Nine of Wands. It's difficult, but you're going to do it. And I love this Ten of Wands because So many times the Ten of Wands is represented as being overburdened, but I don't see this card, the way the artwork is, limiting you to that sort of an interpretation. To me, this Ten of Wands looks more like a circle or a cycle that's been completed. I don't know, it's just it's more of a emotional response that I get to this card. Rather than feeling that there's an overburden, I get more of a sense of completion. So I really like this Ten of Wands. Love it, love it, love it. And then we'll move on to the court cards. Of course, for Page of Wands, we have a match. The pages are just so well done in this deck. Knight of Wands. So fire and air together for the knights. Ooh, really a lot of combustion going on there. Look at this Queen of Wands. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? She's the drama queen. She's got fire just emanating from her being. The Queen of Wands. And then we have the King of Wands. And I like this King of Wands because oftentimes the antlers of a deer are considered to be a symbol of the king. So here we have the King of Wands. So I hope you enjoyed this quick walkthrough, and I love this deck. It's very different. It's a lot of fun to work with, and I think you'll find it'll light the fires of your creativity, and you're going to enjoy working with it. I hope as much as I have so far, and I've only been working with it for a couple of days. So enjoy, and we'll talk to you again soon.